Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so excited about this new year for all sorts of reasons, and some of them I'll describe later. But right now, I want to launch into a super healthy salmon dinner that is going to be one you'll put on repeat all year long. It uses my favorite whole grain farro, and if you've ever seen other videos of mine, I adore this. It's chewy and grainy and healthy. And the nice thing about this is you can put it in the freezer after you've cooked it, and it cooks beautifully a second time around because it is so firm. It doesn't get mushy like other grains might when they're frozen. So I'm going to set this to the side, put that on the stove, and let's talk about the salmon. For the start of the new year, I want to pick a super heart-healthy fish to start the year off, and that's salmon. It's wonderful because it's loaded with omega-3 fatty acids that are good for your brain health, your heart health, your overall health. And we're going to bake it in the oven, married with a little bit of fennel, some olives, a little bit of garlic. So this dish is super simple. Normally, I do salmon in the air fryer because I can put it in there at 200 degrees Celsius. 11 minutes later, it's perfect. It comes out juicy and crisp on the outside, and we can do the same thing in the oven. So today I'm going to use my oven. But before we start with the salmon, we're going to prepare the vegetables, get those roasting in the oven so we can do double duty. Halfway through the roasting of these, we'll add the salmon. Everything will come out all at once, and we're good to go. So let's get started. First things first, I'm going to slice up this fennel into wedges so that we can put it on the baking sheet. I love fennel. I love the flavor of fennel. It's like a beautiful licoricey flavor. And when I cut it into wedges like this, makes for a lovely side dish. I don't know if you ever use shallots. I love them because they're a lot sweeter than an onion. Very gentle, and they pair beautifully with this fennel. And our finishing part is that we're going to add a mixed bunch of olives that I picked up at the Mercado the other day. And what's nice about these olives is they're all different flavors. They have a tangy bit to them, and they're going to marry so nice with the rest of this. So we'll just sprinkle those in, spread things around, add a little bit of olive oil to make sure that everything is well coated. A little bit of pepper, we'll add a little bit of salt, and these will go straight into the oven. Take about 25 minutes or so. Halfway through, I'm going to toss them to make sure that they get nice and caramelized and brown on all sides. And I'm going to use a little bit of salt too to bring out their best flavors. That's it. So all we needed to do was wedge up the fennel, slice the shallots in half, add the mixed olives, give it a little spritz of extra virgin olive oil, salt, pepper, and into the oven for about 25 minutes. And the oven is set at 400 degrees. It always helps to start the new year with a good plan to achieve your healthy goals. So today's lemon herb salmon recipe will help you get started. But the salmon is just part of the story because it's the featured recipe in my new Saturday morning meal plan newsletter on Substack. Last year, I received a lot of interest in what I eat every day and a lot of love for my new book featuring a 30-day Kickstart plan. And that got me to thinking, if this is what you want, I should give you more of it. So that's what the newsletter will do. New menus every week, plus one super healthy recipe to make your day. Every recipe I've ever featured on YouTube since 2022 will be easier to find and print out with brand new PDFs. Every guide about the Mediterranean diet I've ever offered will be right there too. So I hope you get the chance to come over and visit me there. Just click on the link in the description below to check it out. All right, the vegetables are in the oven, so let's make a quick marinade glaze for the salmon, and then we'll put that into, and we'll almost be ready for lunch. Salmon doesn't really need a glaze. You can season it if you want to. You could brush a little maple syrup on it like George does when he's doing it out on the grill. But I want to do a little bit of a marinade so that it marries with the flavors that we've already got in the oven and adds a kick of garlic to it and a little bit of fresh herbs. So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, the juice of a whole lemon, and this will come out to be about 3 tablespoons. I also zested that lemon too, so we'll put the zest in. I minced up a mix of dill and parsley so that that would be a nice addition to salmon. If you like dill, add more. I like a little bit, but not a lot. And then we're going to add some garlic. And my recipe calls for 4 cloves of garlic, but look at the size of this garlic. In Spain, garlic's a big thing, and growing big garlic cloves is big too. So we don't need 4 cloves. I mean, if you're crazy about garlic, go ahead. If you hand dice garlic, it'll be much more mild than mincing it this way. The finer the mince, the hotter the spice. So keep that in mind when you're preparing your own dish to your own taste. We're going to spread this on the salmon and let it marinate for about 10 minutes while the vegetables are cooking. And halfway through that vegetable cooking, we're going to add the salmon. So now we're ready to do that. Oh wait, I forgot one of my favorite ingredients, maple syrup. I'm only adding 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. It will add a bit of sweetness to the dish and it'll give a beautiful glaze to the salmon. Okay, now we're ready. And I just want to put the salmon directly, skin side down, on some parchment paper and take this marinade mix that we created and brush it over the top of the salmon. Now remember, it's only going to be in the oven for a short time, so it helps to have this marinade on the salmon for about the 10 minutes that we wait for the rest of the vegetables. This is all it takes for the salmon to be nicely prepared for the oven, and we're ready. The fennel and the olives and the shallots are ready to flip. And I just want to flip them all over to make sure they're each getting a nice browning all around. Now, back into the oven for about another 15 minutes. They'll start getting nice and toasty brown. I'm going to keep my eye on them because as soon as I think it's about time, I can add the salmon and everything will be ready at the same time. I'll be right back. It's been about 10 minutes more for the vegetables, so I'm ready to go. But I want to do one little finishing beautiful touch to add a couple of skinny little slices of lemon to the top. Just make sure there's no seeds in it. Whoa, won't that be pretty? Let me remove a couple seeds from this one. And now it's ready to go into the oven. I just took the veggies out. They look perfectly done, nice and tender, roasted on the edges. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so good. So I'm going to set this on the back burner and just let it rest there while we're waiting for the salmon. A couple more minutes should do it. And now I think it's time for the salmon, so let's go check that out too. It looks and smells absolutely delicious. A little bit hot on the edges, but that doesn't make a bit of difference because we're going to be lifting it out of this parchment paper and plating it with the veggies and sit down to lunch. I don't know about you, but this looks good enough to eat. What a healthy way to start the new year. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.